We made a short back in February of 2023 about Ainz versus Asta, and we had Asta winning over Ainz with a mid to high difficulty. But we recently went into the scaling of Overlord heavy for our boy Ainz Scaling, obviously for that Gojo versus Ainz video we made, which you should also check out since that also includes Ainz Scaling. We'll probably not fully talk about in this one because we talked about it already. But either way, we'll be going over things in more detail here that we did in the Gojo video, since Asta does not fight like Gojo. So things are completely different around here. Ainz Scaling, the supreme ruler of Nazarick, versus Asta, the anti-magic limit breaker. Going over Asta will be Zennou, and going over Ainz will be Sav. Then after all that, we will reconvene and talk about the battle and see if the results are the same.
Before we can talk about scaling for Asta, we gotta talk about how mana and magic work in the world of Black Clover and how Asta's anti-magic works. Mana is a form of energy that exists in nature and within people. It is the source of all magic. Mages use mana to cast spells, and it is essential for their magical abilities. Without mana, a person cannot perform magic. Asta was born without any mana, which means he can't cast spells like other magic users. However, he uses a unique ability called anti-magic. This energy allows him to nullify and cancel out the magic of others. He uses this ability to defend against attack spells, break through defensive spells, and dispel curses and traps. Asta coats his swords with anti-magic, making them capable of cutting through almost any spell. Anti-magic in Black Clover is specifically designed to counteract magic, which is fueled by mana. Think of anti-magic as a force that nullifies magical energies rather than all types of energies. It's like a specialized defense mechanism against anything that relies on mana. Now to go over some feats of Asta's, let's start off with AP, or attack potency. It is very consistent to say he is at least country level, somewhat more likely to be continental. In one of the guidebooks or data books, it's stated that Fauna's salamander spirit, one of the four spirits of the world, was stated to try, quote, the sea. Someone was able to calc this and calc it to be roughly between country and continental level. On top of that, Asta has defeated Patri and shown to be more powerful than Patri on several occasions. Patri being the elf who created a spell that surrounded the entire Clover Kingdom, and Patri being comparative to Julius, who is far inferior to Asta in his current state. It is not well known how large the Clover Kingdom is. It is most likely that it's the size of a country, even though the size is never stated, purely because it is surrounded by 3 other kingdoms, making up parts of a whole continent. Some would argue that Asta would be planetary, or at most large planetary level, because Lucifero was stated to end the world multiple times if he was summoned. He has also been calced to be small planet level. There are also star/universal arguments for Asta. Someone has calced Asta's feats to be upwards of large star level, and the universal argument comes from Yami, who cuts through Dorothy's infinitely sized dimension, as stated by Luck to be insanely massive, and Dorothy is one of the mid-tier captains. Asta is most likely surpassing Yami in strength, therefore surpassing Dorothy. And next, let's talk about speed. Speed, I would give Asta massively faster than light plus speeds, due to the fact that he has fought against Patri, who uses light magic, and this is a sealed version of Patri, who is weaker than unsealed. Sealed Patri is stated to be far weaker than the Third Eye members, who the weakest compares to one of the strongest captains of the time. Sealed Patri compares in speed to Julius, who's the fastest in the verse at the time of their battle. And Sealed Pottery even states that light is the only speed counter to time. Pottery then turns into a dark elf, and his grimoire turns into a dark grimoire, making his light magic demon light magic, which is stated in the manga to be faster, stronger, and denser than his normal light magic. Lots of Black Clover spells are based around physical things or real life things that have been shown to be both physically harmful and take attributes of their natural counterpart. On top of that, the potency of the spell heavily relies on the amount of strength that the mage is able to wield and the amount of mana that they have. So Pottery's light magic would be way slower at the beginning of the series than it would be at the moment where he fights Julius, or even further beyond that. Asta also keeps up with and is possibly faster than Yuno, who uses star magic to teleport himself and other things near his other stars. This is not saying that he is as fast as teleportation, but he can surely react to and fight alongside Yuno, who has the ability to teleport, who also has the ability to perceive things while teleporting. Asta was able to keep up with Pottery in his base form around chapter 50, and currently we are at chapter 370-ish, and he is far surpassed both Pottery and Julius, some of the basis for speedsters in this entire series. This makes him massively faster than light plus. I did a calculation to see how fast Asta would be at this speed. Using standard battle assumptions of 200 meters between two characters, I estimated the amount of time it would take Asta to travel those 200 meters from being 1,000 times faster than the speed of light, which would be the basis of being MFTL+. And the amount of time it would take for him to travel that distance would be roughly 667 picoseconds, or 6.67 times 10 to the negative 10th power. And this is just base MFTL+. Some argue that he is thousands of times faster than MFTL+, but not enough to get him to infinite speed. When it comes to Asta's abilities, they're pretty simple, but also tricky and sometimes a little inconsistent, depending on how you look at it. Some of the abilities are negation magic, curse magic nullification, anti-magic slashes, causal negation, precognition, flight, reflexive attacks, and his newest one, Zeton, which grants him greater power nullification and allows him to bestow his powers onto others. It's said that it increases his power by roughly 100 times. He has resistance to fear manipulation, absolute zero, heat manipulation, power nullification, spatial manipulation, madness manipulation, life force absorption, and mind control or possession. And the reason why his powers are so complicated is because sometimes it's very inconsistent. But if you look at it as Asta's anti-magic meets the will of him, then it's not that inconsistent. Asta's anti-magic will do whatever it needs to in order for Asta to get what he wants. For example, when Yami and William are being captured by a demonic being and absorbed of their magic, Asta uses his own Infinity Slash to cut the demon, who is larger than the size of a mountain, and in turn doesn't cut Yami and William because he simply doesn't want to. He also bestows his anti-magic upon his comrades, something that shouldn't be able to do, but he does it because he wills it. He also is able to go through spatial magic of his comrades like Finral and be copied by Gauche's eye, most likely because of his anti-magic attribute of just him wanting to do that. Although this is just a theory and not 100% correct, although he states it to be true in that case with Yami and William. His stamina, I would say, is very high because in his confrontation with Lucifero, he was getting beat to a pulp, bloody and bruised. All it took was a little healing from Mimosa, who isn't the greatest healer, but still did something, was able to get up and fight alongside his fellow mages after hours up to days of battling non-stop back to back, while his final form has a time limit, Devil Union. And he's only further gotten stronger and increased his stamina since then, and that was only 30 or 40-ish chapters ago. Asta is also able to passively get out of time stop because magic is based upon its natural counterpart. One could argue that time manipulation or time magic manipulates the essence of time, and while not to the degree of the concept itself, but to the degree of being in certain areas, hence why Julius can create bubbles of time. So Lucius, the evil counterpart to Julius, uses time stop in a given area to apprehend Asta and turn him into a paladin. That doesn't work, as during Asta being stopped by time, passively activates his anti-magic black form and makes Lucius back away from him, saying that Asta's power is the enemy of natural law, implying that Lucius' time magic affects the law of time. Lucius also has the abilities and power of his fellow siblings, so he is able to manipulate souls and bodies, creating clones and resurrecting the dead. He also has the power of Lucifero, the previous antagonist, on top of being just as powerful as Prime Julius, and having the abilities of his siblings who were also great enemies of the last arc. The narrator in Black Clover just after this part states that spells that manipulate time are invincible. This is backed by Julius and Patri's fight, where Patri says that time is an extremely difficult and invincible spell, and Lucius says that nothing in the natural world can defy time. However, Asta's anti-magic is the natural enemy of it. Asta was also able to one-shot Nama and Lilith, whose magic was capable of destroying a magical spatial realm that Noct created that was stated to not physically exist. Their magic was stated to burn away or freeze away everything in its path, even shadows and light and invisible concepts.
Ainz Scaling, the supreme ruler of Nazarick, is a character created by Suzuki Satoru for DMMORPG Yggdrasil. Ainz is an Elder Lich of the highest level, a overlord, hence the name of the series. Being an undead allows Ainz to essentially have infinite stamina, since undead cannot be fatigued and can function indefinitely with no need for sleep, food, water, nor does he need to breathe. He even has a spell cast on himself that forces Ainz to not only make rational decisions, meaning emotions or feelings have little to no effect on his decision making. Ainz' main abilities revolve around death magic and necromancy, while having almost unlimited stamina, usually dressed in the highest tiers of equipment. He is also in a PvP/PK guild, which takes on other players that are usually level 100s, like Ainz and his fellow guild members are. Now, Ainz may be level 100, which is the highest level that can get, but that doesn't mean all level 100s are the same in the verse. Equipment and spell tiers decide whether attacks do damage, alongside with buff/debuffing and status effects, which can have massive effects on fights. Other than his equipment and highest tier spells, Ainz can't really do much else besides use his god tier strategy in a fight. He has no feats that aren't related to his equipment, spells, or buffs in some way. This means we can only scale Ainz off of what his spells and equipment have done, since Ainz himself has performed little to no feats without being buffed or without wearing his armor especially. Regarding equipment in the verse of Overlord, if your equipment is below world class item, the highest tier, then you have no chance of damaging Ainz since he has multiple world class items which make him immune to almost all forms of damage. Just having a world class item allowed Ainz to tank an attack which erases the mind, body, and soul from existence. He's immune to battlefield removal and sealing, since Albedo with her world class item can pass through world separating barrier, which is a spell that creates a space that was separate from reality and prevented entry through all conventional means as well as any attempts to teleport out of it. He has resistance negation, which can stop his opponents from negating his attacks since world class items are able to bypass immunities. World class items also trump the power of super tier spells such as Wish Upon a Star, which is stated to make the impossible possible, making him resistant to reality warping. Extrasensory perception resistance makes him immune to being sensed and makes his movements impossible to track, as well as a ring which makes him immune to time manipulation, which isn't even a world class item. The only tier close to world class items are super tier spells which can alter reality itself through Wish Upon a Star and Creation. This tier of spells allows Ainz to change the world's data itself, turning the environment and weather into whatever he wants. Ainz can freeze a whole 20 square kilometer lake almost instantly while meeting the lizardmen in the anime. And can use it to freely change the battlefield at will without any consumption of mana, since super tier spells don't use much mana at all. I mean, Ainz just, with one of his rings, allows him to cast Wish Upon a Star 3 times without any cost. One of the most important items in his collection is the Staff of Ainz Gon. This staff took the combined effort of every one of Ainz guild members to create specifically for Ainz to use since he is their leader. Combining 7 gemstones in the staff snake mouths are all made up of divine class artifacts with elemental alignments of sun, moon, earth, fire, wind, water, and time. The staff of Ainz Gon's most potent feature is its automatic engagement system. In combat, Ainz can initiate it to undergo automatic interception mode, where it will begin to move on its own independently from Ainz to attack his enemies. Sharing a mental bond with Ainz, the staff would automatically select the most appropriate spells to utilize and cast on his foes without requiring Ainz himself to perform the casting. Ainz' speed scaling. Besides using teleportation spells or spatial magic, Ainz has little to no speed feats. The best he scales to is being above Gazev Stronov. Gazev Stronov is a warrior who is level 29 that has an attack called Sixfold Slash of Light, which is stated to be a martial art that struck as fast as light. Now this doesn't mean Ainz can move at the speed of light, but by scaling off a Gazev who is way slower and weaker than Shaltir. Shaltir is a level 100 undead vampire Valkyrie, and Gazev's sword couldn't even hurt a level 90 summon. Meanwhile, a non-world class item Ainz could take out a mind manipulated Shaltir trying to kill him with one OP spell. So Ainz doesn't scale directly to her speed since he has a lower speed stat than Shaltir, but if we scale her off of Gazev, who she is way above in every way,
知覚不能な神速の一頭神戦と全てを認識し知覚する領域ガゼフを倒すべく生み出した神戦と領域この2つの武器を合わせしろ危険モガリブエ
he should be able to dodge his light speed attack casually, and since Ainz would still be below Shaltir in speed, but theoretically above Gazev, since Ainz's Mamanga is equivalent to level 33 warrior, and Gazev is a warrior is level 29, so this would mean Ainz at best has relativistic reaction times to maybe with Wank, faster and light speeds. A normal interpretation for Ainz's speed is to scale him relative to Shaltir, who is stated in the novels/manga to leave behind a flaming afterimage just like a jet or a rocket rising's flames. This would be at least hypersonic or Mach 5. This means Ainz is also around the same speed and reaction time, at least without headcanon. Ainz's durability is barely scalable since his world-class items alone negate almost all forms of damage, meaning we can't scale Ainz's durability without them since he almost never is shown to take conventional damage, much less not have his most OP armor on half the time. This leaves only assumptions to what can actually damage Ainz, since he has never actually lost a fight in the entire series apparently. I mean, I haven't read all the light novels, but Ainz did tank a holy attack stated in the world to have killed a demon god and leveled cities, but compared to tanking Kirill-Elam's Soul Breaker Breath, which erases the mind, body, and soul, and he only tanked it because of a world-class item, then it seems like nothing can damage Ainz except someone else with another world-class item. Since Ainz is rarely ever used massively destructive area of effective attacks, the best way to scale Ainz's AP is off of the most lethal spell combo ever seen. The goal of all life is death.
Skill! The goal of all life is death! Maiden magic! Eye of the Banshee! ここまでだ。
which strengthens the instant death effect of magic and skills to the point of bypassing any immunity and resistance, killing their target after a certain amount of time has passed, and Cry the Banshee plus Widen magic, which causes instant death, killing air itself and beings devoid of the concept of death, all within 200 meters. The only downside of this spell combo is that it takes 12 seconds for the goal of all life is death to cast, but he can only use it every 100 hours. Ainz also has a super tier spell called Fallen Down, which essentially destroys everything within Ainz's view. In the anime, we see Fallen Down take up a decent portion of the massive forest range. This would probably be a large mountain level feat if you consider Ainz can freeze a whole 20 squared kilometer lake casually. So with Wank, Ainz at best is small country level. Well, he would normally be at least large mountain level. Also considering weaker characters like the battle maids are higher level than a level 46 dragon that has enough firepower to gradually destroy an entire city in a fight with his wife. To finish up this Ainz section of the video, I'll basically be summarizing the rest of Ainz's abilities, hacks, and meta tier magic. He has Reality Slash that slashes through the fabric of space, and a higher level version called World Break, which not only cuts through space but time itself. Ainz can use Grand Catastrophe, which is the highest damage spell in the entire game. Induces true death upon an enemy instantly regardless of distance as long as you're in Ainz's view. Grass Part can instantly kill anyone by grabbing their heart with true death magic. Even if the target resists, they instead become stupefied or stunned as a secondary effect, though it has a very short distance. Even Ainz's weakest tier 1 spells carry the same instant death effects, and several of his spells are designed as instant kills, since Satoru made Ainz with instant death magic being the main effects of his spells. With negative energy touch, Ainz can inflict negative energy on anything he touches with this skill, causing damage to opponents and lowering their speed and strength. This can be taken further with the Spirit Aura 5, which is a passive skill that lowers the stat and defenses of those within its range and automatically kills those who fails to resist his instant death effects. He can even stop time or stop time moving for singular targets with Chronomancy. He has apparently mastered chronomancy to the point where he can stop time for however long Ainz needs. He can summon black holes that suck in any target Ainz chooses and can literally drop nukes that generate all kinds of negative status effects. This includes poisoning, blindness, deafness, and so on. He can also increase his own speed with spells like haste and can slow down enemies with the spell slow. He can use instantaneous teleportation and fly spells to maneuver around the battlefield to however he wants. He can make himself invisible to the naked eye and can also erase one's traces and sounds, including the pitch of a user's voice from being heard.
Breath of Magic Caster, Infinity Wall, Magic Word Holy, Life Essence, Greater Full Potential, Freedom, False Data Life, See-Through, Paranormal Intuition, Greater Resistance, Mantle of Chaos, Indomitability, Sensor Boost, Greater Luck, Magic Boost, Dragonic Power, Greater Hardening, Heavenly Aura, Absorption, Penetrate Up, Greater Magic Shield, Mana Essence, Triplet Maximize Magic, Explode Mind, Triplet Magic, Greater Magic Shield, Triplet Maximize Boosted Magic, Magic Arrow.
Ainz also has a spell called Body Effligent Burial, which essentially gives him a free hit, so to speak.
Body of Effulgent Burial, Hatsu!
Other types of spells like Meditator Magic are more of a hacks, I consider, and can be applied to mostly any spell besides Super Tier. Things such as Maximize Magic can increase the spell's basic effectiveness.
Maximize Magic! True Dark!
Twin and Triplet Magic can allow a spell to be cast multiple times in one go. Penetrate Magic increases the chance to penetrate magic defenses. Widen Magic increases the area effect.
Skill! The goal of all life is death! Widen Magic! Cry of the Banshee!
And Silent Magic removes any need for cantation or chanting the spell name and can cast spells instantaneously.
Alright, it's your boy Cake, and I'm gonna be talking about Ainz freezing the lake, the Great Lake specifically. This is what it kind of looks like. I got a map here and everything. My numbers were all predetermined, not by me, so I'm just doing the calculations for this. So I'm just putting the numbers into the formulas and telling you that. That's all I'm gonna do. Alright, I'm gonna do this in 3 scenarios, so let's get right into it. Alright, so before we start all these scenarios and everything, I'm gonna set some ground rules. So this is my diagram of the lake on our right, top right. 20 kilometers by 10 kilometers. And these are the numbers we're gonna start with over here on our left. We got A, 10,000 meters, which is half of the 20 kilometers. And then B, 5,000 meters, which is half of the 10 kilometers. Alright, for this scenario, we're gonna use for the depth 1,309 meters. It may be wrong, it may be right, I don't know. But this is what I'm gonna use. And for the first scenario, the water will be 4 degrees Celsius, so almost freezing. Alright, let's get into it. For Formula 1, we're gonna do volume first. So volume for this specific shape is gonna be pi times 10,000 times 5,000 times 1,309. So basically all of our numbers multiplied together times pi. So that's what we get for our volume. For the second formula, we need mass. So that's going to be volume times density, which in this case we already got our volume. So add our volume there, and the density of water is 1,000 kilograms per meter squared, or cube I should say, sorry. So that's the mass right there. Alright, formula 3. So we gotta cool the water, so for that we need the mass times the specific heat capacity of water, which tells us how much energy is needed for the temperature of water of 1 kilogram of water specifically to change by 1 degree Celsius. So that's represented by this number here. This is joules, by the way. And for this, that's the temperature change. So we're changing the entire thing from 4 degrees C to 0 degrees C. Alright, and if we multiply all that together, we get this number right here. Alright, for this next formula, we gotta multiply mass, which we got earlier, times the latent heat fusion of water, which is the amount of energy required to freeze 1 kilogram of water at 0 degrees Celsius into ice, which is also at 0 degrees Celsius. So that number is right here. This is the energy required, and this is the number we get. Alright, for the last formula of this scenario, we gotta just add them together. And when doing so, we get this number right here. I will explain more at the end what these numbers are about. Alright, for scenario 2, the water is now going to be 20 degrees Celsius. So pretty much everything else doesn't change. So that's good, that's the same. This is the only thing that changes right here. So we only change the temperature change from 4 degrees to 20. So this is the only number that changes right here. Just to show you that that's true, we're going to look at these numbers here. You can compare them to scenario 1 if you wish. And for the formula 5, as usual, we're going to add them together. And here we are. Alright, for the third scenario, the water is going to be at 20 degrees Celsius, and we are only going to freeze 15 inches of water on the top. For formula 1, everything except the depth stays the same, as we're only freezing 15 inches of water. So the conversion rate for that is going to be 0.381. This is in meters, obviously. And that equals to this right here, once you multiply it all together. Alright, for formula 2, we're going to get the mass of that bit that we froze. So we're going to do volume times density. So for this, we're going to do the volume, which we got in the last slide, times the density of water, which has not changed. So it's going to be 1,000 kilograms per cubed meter, which is this number right here for the mass. For formula 3, we're going to cool the entire lake. So we need the lake mass, not just the regular mass that we got earlier. So we need the lake mass times the specific heat capacity of water, which has not changed again, times the temperature change, which is also not changed. It's 20 degrees Celsius. So that gives us this right here. For formula 4, we need the freezing of said thing. So we need the mass that we got earlier times the latent heat fusion of water, which also has not changed, which is right here. So the mass that we got earlier, which is that mass of that frozen bit that we did, times the latent heat fusion of water. And that's this right here. And then for formula 5, we're just adding them together, which is this number. For scenario 1, we ended off a total of 7.19 times 10 to the 16th power of joules. That is about equal to 17.2 megatons of TNT, or the amount of energy it takes to fuck your mom, or the amount of energy it takes to do 1,100 Hiroshima bombs. It's about large city level. For scenario 2, we ended off with a total of 8.57 times 10 to the 16th power of joules. That is about 20.5 megatons of TNT, or 1,360 Hiroshima bombs, or also 1,020 Nagasaki bombs. It's about city destroying level, like a regular city. For For scenario 3, we have ended off with 3.72 times 10 to the 16th power of joules. And that is equal to about 8.9 megatons of TNT, or 590 times Hiroshima, and also 440 times the Nagasaki bombs. It's about not small city, but in between small and a regular city. That's really about it. That's all we got for today. See you in the next one.
So, conclusions for the video.
Yup.
So we're gonna do 3 rounds. First one is Asta versus Ainz, with basically just feats alone, no statement scaling.
Yeah.
Round 2 is Asta versus Ainz, with just normal scaling and interpretations. Round 3 is Asta versus Ainz, with everything given, like basically wank versions, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And so
Let's just
let's
go
just
over
get right
round
into
one.
round one.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
go. So this one's interesting because Asta kind of just like outscales Ainz. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, round 1 is basically just like Ainz getting stopped by
Yeah.
Asta being massively faster in speed, AP essentially. So
Yeah.
having less feats, literally, Asta has more feats than all of Overlord, basically combined, like just raw feats, not statements.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah. World class items aren't gonna do anything. Asta
Yeah.
negative
Yeah.
diffs Ainz in
Yep.
this fight. So yeah, that one, we don't really need to talk about this one much more. Round 2 though.
Round 2 is normal interpretations.
Yeah.
Basically normal scaling.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks,
Well,
Eddie.
yeah, normal interpretations. This fight is closer than round 1. But Asta still kind of scales higher than Ainz in this one, unfortunately.
Yeah. So this the fight's a bit closer.
Mm-hmm.
Asta would still be like massively faster in lane.
Yeah.
At least faster in lane. Ainz with normal interpretations is like, hypersonic,
Mm-hmm.
maybe massively hypersonic, like wank, like a normal interpretations, I'm saying.
Yeah, and like theoretically, with world-class items, he could tank everything, but like theoretically. So
Yeah, even if Ainz could tank like all the attacks,
yeah,
like that Asta could throw at him, it'd be essentially like Goku punching like Itachi at it with it, even if he has like
the Yadomir,
yeah, Tochka blade.
or like Gojo as well. Send him to the moon,
They're just
bro.
gonna go flying.
Yeah, you're gone. He like Ainz will just get sent across the planet if Asta hits him with basically any sort of attack, pretty much. If we say that like world class items does tank everything in this, so yeah,
Yeah, because Asta has like at least punching level like AP,
yeah,
and maybe even like
higher.
planetary with normal
Yeah.
interpretations at the end of this, like kind of the end of the series, I would say.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this one like Ainz could win, like in some instances, like since like he can hit him with instant death a couple times, but like it's only really if Asta doesn't take the fight seriously or if he underestimates Ainz, which in character Ainz or Asta will not do. Like he's not one to underestimate characters really, but like he could. So
Yeah, I mean Asta would feel the sense that Ainz is like a threat,
yeah.
and he would take it seriously regardless.
Mm-hmm. I guess.
Yeah, it'd probably be like Ainz would maybe win 2 out of 3 fights at best. Probably 1 fight
Yeah, this
out of
one.
10.
Yeah,
With
it's just
instant death attack if Asta gets caught off guard, but
yeah, that's just like maybe and probably not. So yeah. Round 3 is where things get interesting though, I will say.
Yeah, this is where basically
Everything.
world class items do have some crazy statements, like because Ainz had a world class item, he was able to tank an attack from Kirillum,
Yeah.
which makes him like immune to existence erasure from the mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
So
Asta realistically isn't doing anything to him.
Yeah,
Asta's not getting past him in this fight, in this round anyways, because yeah, there's just the world class item tanks anything really, and even Asta, if we like hyper wank him to like universal, and obviously massively faster than light, he's not bypassing the world class items, unfortunately, in this one. So
Yeah, Asta has no like showings of like wiping out anything bigger than like a planet, anyways.
Yeah.
In just like one go. I mean, Ainz doesn't either, but I mean, if Asta can't just like wipe out the planet that Ainz is on, you basically can't like kill him unless you're like literally somehow beyond like existence razor of the mind, body, and soul.
Yeah, which
Which actually just means that you have to have a world class item to kill Ainz.
Yeah, like only world class items are able to like hurt other people with world class items. So sadly, Asta doesn't have one of those. So yeah, but this fight will probably go down to like who runs out of stamina first, because of the fact that Asta is still faster than Ainz. Like that hasn't changed. Like Ainz still doesn't have crazy speed feats so far in the series. So yeah.
Yeah, Ainz and Asta could be like fighting for days essentially, and they would like at some point, you know,
finish the fight. Yeah,
because Ainz has like infinite stamina, and Asta would just be like running out at some point.
Yeah,
if they fought for like weeks, because Ainz would just stand there tanking attacks, because Asta doesn't have like anything to bypass a world class item.
Yeah, and since like Ainz is more intelligent,
Asta runs out.
Since Ainz is more intelligent, he'll most likely figure out that he's not gonna be able to catch up to Asta, and that he would probably just sit there and just like wait until Asta not gives up, but like gives out. I guess his stamina gives out. So it would be just a matter of time, rather than like if Ainz could hit Asta, which he like as of like if he's like active in the fight, probably not. But once Asta like runs out of stamina, he's done. So
right. I would say this is like a high difficulty fight, anyways.
Yeah.
For both sides, which makes sense. We're short because we had like mid-high difficulty.
Yeah, for Asta winning that, which it would just be
sense based on this. Like based on your interpretations, like even if you like mostly had normal scaling for Ainz, it would just still be like Asta winning most likely over the Wang. Like I think Ainz just literally would be able to outlast Asta.
Yes,
regardless of how powerful he is.
Yeah,
world class items have like insane statements, insane scaling.
Apparently,
like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's just like it's quite literally one can't harm the other, and the one isn't faster than the other. So it's more of just like, yeah, when will Ainz hit Asta with an attack? Because it's just whenever Ainz or Asta fucks up. Yeah, it's just whenever Asta fucks up.
Ainz versus this round would be like
yeah, go ahead.
You know, this round would be down to like 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, I'd agree, because you could probably get Asta up there. Like he just have like Ainz would like have to fuck up so bad for Asta to win this fight, but it's possible. Like we're not gonna say it isn't possible, but it's most likely Ainz is gonna win this fight.
I mean, you could still kind of maybe make the argument that Asta would just send Ainz flying through like the fucking universe, but I mean, I don't even know if that would happen. Because like Ainz stood there and like just apparently tanked like existence razor attack, right?
Yeah, I mean he would probably just still be alive, like just like chilling.
Yeah. So I mean,
but yeah,
he should be able to exist in outer space as well. He doesn't even like need to breathe.
Yeah,
I guess.
Like he doesn't have like doesn't have to need anything.
Outer space either. So I mean, it's not like that would happen anyways.
Yeah, but yeah, this one was kind of just like still kind of in Asta's favor overall. Like taking the 3 rounds that we did, Asta still had the majority of winning over Ainz. So our short theoretically isn't wrong to how we are now, but if we give Ainz everything, it would be the other way around. So
and Ainz has like just insane kind of like statements and scaling.
Yeah,
we just gave it to him. Right.
Yeah.
So
it's just Asta still.
Asta was just like normal interpretation, so mostly wins. Like if we were just even generous to Ainz, Asta would still win.
Yeah, I agree.